Hammer time! Right on! Right on!
Okay, good morning. We are live, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going out there? All right. This is going to be an exciting one. Jason, I am excited that we are here. We'll be kicking it off here momentarily. We are sitting in the pen with the ODracerZ ladies, spelled ODracerZ, ODracerZ. This is the ladies only race that happens right about now every other Saturday and attracts the best women's riders on Zwift. And we're excited to have them here in the pen, that number growing steadily, currently at 34. This is the third installment of this amazing race, and every single one has had pretty incredible fireworks. Jason, when you when you kicked this thing off, you did it, 6 weeks ago, 3 installations ago. Can you maybe talk just a little bit about who showed up for that first event?
Yeah, we actually have had a really steady showing from the beginning, anywhere from 40 to 50 ladies-only riders that have really made, coming back every week, they get a chance to kind of put their efforts and their training next to each other every 2 weeks, and they've had a really good response from week to week. So about 45 to 50 riders every week so far.
You know, what I like about this format, Jason, is that, a lot of these races are weekly, and it's hard to train forward and race on a weekly basis. But with this 2-week interval, it really allows people to tune their training, to try to make specific improvements to this race format, and then bring it back and test it against their allies and their foes every 2 weeks. In that inaugural version, our winner was Rachel Elliott. I don't see Rachel in the starting pen yet, but I believe that she's confirmed to be here again. That would be pretty exciting. She's the KISS RT racer and was really successful in that first one, holding an obscene watts per kilo. So I would imagine Sammy Wachlet, Beth York, Tiffany Larson, Taya Freistad would like it if she stayed home today. They all tend to be about in the same category of watts per kilo, somewhere in the 3.4 to 3.7 range. They can throw back and forth. You tend to see them, fighting it out, able to make those strategic moves throughout the race. It's not just about pure power. But if you had to name, Jason, some of the folks that you thought were probably right up there that you were going to be watching for in that A women's group, we'll talk about the B's and C's momentarily. Who would you expect to see, and whose name would be called today?
Yeah, some of the names that I've actually seen come up already is Beth York, definitely a contender here. Tiffany Larson missed the last race, so she's been doing a lot of training over the last 4 weeks, and she's been watching this race very, very closely. And Jenna Kervias, always a good firepower in both races that she's been in. So I think between those three, really in the front, we can really watch out for them as the race goes on. We are about 2 minutes to go here.
Awesome. Tiffany Larson was a scratch last week. She reported just a couple of days before. I happened to connect with her and her friend Charisse McMullen not long ago. There in our area, ran into Charisse actually while we were out having dinner, and reported that Tiffany had been coming down with something and was going to take a scratch, and was really bummed to miss that race because she'd been in pretty good form. So I would imagine that with the disappointment of missing that last week, she's going to be really itching to show what she's got today. I haven't seen her yet in the pen, but expect to see her as well. Jennifer Kabilas was in that group last week and part of the fireworks. Now, when it came down to it, with just a lap to go, she slipped off the back just a little bit and was in that no man's land between the chase group and the leaders. Managed to hold on for 6th place and hold off Zen Kapala last week. All right, it looks like we're just about a minute to go before this. Now, can you explain just a little bit about how this is going to roll out? And when this gate drops, are they just going to sprint off the line?
No, actually, we're doing something a little bit different. For these rides, we have a ride leader. It's going to be Taya. She's actually going to be rolling out at a nice, steady pace. I think the pace today is going to be about 1.5. So everyone's going to need to kind of follow that along, stay nice and steady behind the ride leader.
That is excellent. We are now 45 seconds from our neutral rollout start. Taya will be the responsible one and make sure that she spams the text so that everybody can see what's going on. But this is getting really exciting. These riders have got to be amped. One of the hardest things to do is to sit still and not just jump when the gate drops. But we are now just 20 seconds away from the start of this race. Mention a couple more of the names. Carrie Conaberry, Michelle Patton, and Pippa Graham, who were the inaugural 1, 2, 3 in the B field. And in the very first week, Megan Schroer and Kirsten Katonis and Tina Frankenham. And it looks like the gate has dropped and they are rolling. All riders watch. Looks good. I don't see any spiking. No spiking watts per kilo. It doesn't look like anybody's trying to sprint off the front and get away. They're keeping it nice and easy. So, Jason, what is the neutral rollout distance for those who are watching us today?
So for this ride, we're actually going to be going all the way to the 1K banner, the red and white 1K banner. That way it gives a chance for the course to level off. A lot of times we've done it by distance, and some courses it does work out, but on this, a lot of times it ends up being on a hill, which is really tough. So we've waited, and we're going to put it all the way to the 1K banner right where it flattens out.
Right where it flattens out. So what they'll do is they'll climb up the hill, they'll pass through Trafalgar Square. They'll take the strand, right? They call that the strand, the simple out and back, nice and flat. They'll all round that corner together, and then they'll be able to see that start banner, which will be that 1K to go banner. This is a nice long warm-up. It prevents anybody from getting dropped off the back. Any of that painful, I wasn't clipped in, or I didn't grab my water bottle, and then they have to sprint to catch back on. It looks like we've got a nice, big, consistent group here moving forward. You get a little bit of hill here as you come under the Prudential banner here in the center of town. You got to make sure that you're not pushing too hard, or you'll end up gapping those folks. But I like to see folks like Stephanie Wagner sitting up there in the front, making sure that she is ready to go, not getting dropped off the back. She is one of our new racers and exciting to watch. So in that B field, Jason, is there anybody who sticks out to you who's just done some great things that might be in a position where she might be able to get an upgrade, where she may make that move? Who do you think, Jason?
Yeah, there's a couple names that jump out to me. There's Helen Cartwright, Liz Comley from last week, and then Sarah Quinton. I think between those three, those are going to be the riders that we need to watch if they are here today. And I think I saw a couple of those names as we rolled out.
Yeah, we got a lot of those names in the list right now, trying to make sense of who's who. And as they come up onto the first of the bridges here, they pass one of the buses. It's always fun to see. Then they're really kind of holding back here. They've got to stay with the ride leader here. Taya is there in the front, and it looks like we've got some folks that have pushed a little bit of a gap. We want to make sure, obviously, that they all come together. One of the things that we haven't seen in the system yet work quite the way we want is a neutralizing force that prevents riders from getting away from the ride leader. Now, they tested it a while back, but were unsuccessful at getting it to work really well. The gaps would kind of stay the same, and that was one of the big problems with that. I expect that they're tuning that, and John and his basement full of code monkeys is trying to work out the details of something like that, because it becomes so important in these types of races to be able to hold everybody together until it's time to go. Now, as you look at the list here, can you spot our ride leader? I see Charisse McMullen in the group, kind of holding toward the front. I don't see the traditional cone of gold hanging over our ride leader. Which is great for the racer, Taya, not great for the ride leader, Taya. That makes it a little bit tricky, for sure.
Yeah, if you're looking on from the overhead view, you wouldn't think that they were having an issue, but they are tightly packed here from the overhead helicopter view. So I think they're making it happen with this group. Everyone really knows what's going on. They know the format. They've done it before. Really just got to look for that name. So everyone's really trying to bring it back. I don't see anyone outside of 2 seconds from the front here.
No, yeah, I don't either. You know, I see Liz Comley at the beginning of that group. I see Charisse McMullen. Tiger is in that group. Schween, not a name that we've called before or seen before, which is cool. But I like to see lots of these folks coming back. C Black, we don't have a first name. Maybe I can grab that for you. Is also in that group and has had a repeat trip here. This is really cool to see. Some of the names that you called a moment ago, we're getting closer and closer to the start of this. It's just a little under 3 miles to the start of this. We're at 1.7 now, and it'll be exciting to see. I happen to know that distance pretty well because I've run it a few times, and the 1K to go banner tends to be that place where I have to pull off and stop from the runs.
We're gonna need Tiffany to take over. I got kicked out of Zwift.
Yeah, I saw that.
What's wrong?
Our ride leader got picked out, so we're gonna need messages to go for the go sign here.
Okay. Well, hopefully our ride leader can rejoin, ride with, and then jump back in. We'll be able to eyeball a finishing position. I don't know what the rules.
We won't see her, I don't think, in the module.
Well, you won't see her in the module, but we'll be able to put eyes on her, and you'll be able to see her when she passes. There's also a possibility that the rejoin will allow her to be seen again, as she started the module and she's listed as the ride leader. I know that that's happened in the past. We'll see what happens. Technical issues are stinkers, but they kind of align with the same types of things that we tend to see in real life as well. Whether you drop a chain in the neutral zone and have to get assistance, or something else goes wrong. A Di2 battery goes dead. I know all about that one. I'm starting to carry a second Di2 battery with me. That's really important. Okay, it looks like we've got a little bit of a gap here.
Am I more in the front?
You are. You're more in the front. Jason, perhaps you can help me spot this. I guess it's coming back together. As I'm following right here, the bulk of the group, it is spread out.
As the leader that everyone has to get behind or something.
Just, you know what? If you're in a position to hear us and to
stay in that group, Charisse, I think that's the right group.
Yeah, that is the right group. That is the right group. I've got Allie Sutcliffe in that group. Looks like we've also got a couple of other folks, recognizable names in that group. TD in that group as well. Pippa Graham in that group. As they move toward the strand here, this is going to be difficult, I know, for some to keep the tension down, but we're getting close here. We want to keep that group together as much as possible. Peg is trailing that group. We've got a couple of folks that are a few seconds back there. Hopefully they can jump in. It may, not sure when you see the C rider classification whether it's a fitness issue or something else. You want everybody to be able to be included, but some
looks
people,
like the bulk of them are near Charisse.
Yeah, they are.
They're the start lead.
Okay, looks like we are approaching. We are up on the strand, moving toward this start right here. And it looks like we're going to have Xenia Pakala is up there in that group. Easing back. She definitely wants to not be in front of this group when it starts. Nobody wants a silly disqualification at this point. And Xenia has backed it way off to less than 1 point. Oh, she's waiting for the rest of her friends to kind of hit this start. And it is exciting. Thank you to all the riders who are listening, who are just holding back. 3 seconds back to the bulk of that group. Anybody who's in the front, keep that 1.0 or less. Let those folks catch you and jump on when they get there. I see Tiffany Larson in this group too. First time I've spotted her. They're getting ready to make the corner on the strand. Any last thoughts, Jason, before they cut it loose?
No, looks like they put it together quite nicely. So we're going to get started here just as we go under the banner. So,
all right, and they're moving toward the banner right now. 1K to go. This is the 1K to go banner that they're going to launch at, And we start to see some legs twitch up. Those in the back of the group starting to kick it up a little bit more. They're going to come under this banner, and they want to have some velocity. They want to be able to stay with their friends, with their foes, and push hard. And we are live.
Go, go, go.
This
Go,
women's
go, go.
race is
ODZ
going,
Racers.
going.
Go, go, go.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Commissar. We hear the Commissar in the chat here giving us the push to go. And they dig immediately. It won't surprise you at all to have Allie Sutcliffe pushing in the front of that group, making sure that she makes this move. Also, White and Pippa Graham says, I am working hard today. Soltees in that group. I need a first name on Soltees. We'll get there. Liz Comley also pushing 4.5 watts per kilo, saying, I'm not going to get left behind. And as they hit the red here, the slight downhill of the red carpet, we're going to see groups start to form, and they will know real quick, am I in the lead group or am I in the chase group? Pippa Graham chasing as well, 1 second back from the folks, Jen Kabilas and Charisse McMullen also in that group, looking around for her teammate. Her teammate, of course, would be Larson, Tiffany Larson, looking around to make sure that they are working together, but I don't see her in the group. I think she may be up ahead just a little bit. Roadrunner makes that move as well. The Canadian there, we'll get a name on her as well. And Stephanie Wagner also pushing in the front group, says, I'm going to get on the wheel of somebody fast, and I'm going to hang on as long as I can. Those kind of elevators make a huge difference here. What do you think, Jason? How is this shaping out at the start?
This pace is leg breaking. We are over 4.0 steady by all categories right now. And so everyone is really trying to make sure that they make this front group and make this separation from their others, whatever they can do. This group looks amazing here on this side shot. We're looking at a lady group of, looks like almost 25 riders.
Yeah, it's a massive group, and everyone's represented. We've got A's, B's, and C's. We see the strong B, Pippa Graham, in that group. We see the strong A, Tiffany Larson, in that group. We even see a couple of C's. That is really, really exciting to see. So as they make this this push around toward the 180 on the red carpet, we start to see them string out a little bit. I don't know if you're catching it, but I see the overhead a little bit, and they are starting to string out a little bit, but they're still connected. Still connected. It's not an easy pace. They've got people pushing on the front. In that second group, that chase group, there's just a little bit of a tear between the two groups. Hollenbeck, Comley in that group, Crawford, Pugh, Elmore. Elmore was a strong racer last week as well. And Jen Kabilas also looks like just barely missed the gap. Come on, Jen, get on the back of that group. Push a little bit harder. She's holding 4.5 watts per kilo. And I don't care who you are. 5.5, 5.9. She hears us and she's responding. Nice job. Trying to make sure that she catches that group. When you're in this position and you're at the beginning of a race like this, and you've got this gap to the next group, and you know that that's the group. That's where the heavy hitters are. You want to be in that group. You're willing to spend so much more than you would if you were in any other spot in the race, because you know that once that time gap starts to grow, there's nothing that's going to bring it back except your hard work. So when do you spend it? Do you spend your hard work now, or do you just kind of take it easy a little bit and then wait? So Jason, you coach folks. What would you tell your racers right now who are sitting on a 4-second gap to the next group?
So a lot of these riders have been in this position before, and 4 seconds is not an issue. With a group, as long as you have people with you, you're seeing as they clump together, they'll drop back, they'll grab a wheel, and they'll use that wheel to kind of throw themselves into the next group, and that's what they're going to be looking for, and that's what I tell my riders to look for that.
So you're looking right now, I'm looking about halfway back. There's a nice B group with Comley in that group. You've got Jen Kabilas also in that time zone with them. Holmichael in that group as well. And Stephanie Wags also in that group, although she's connected to the back end of that main field. Now, there may be 3 seconds between her and the front rider in that group. You've got Allie Sutcliffe in that group, Pippa Graham in that group, holding on for dear life, doing a great job saying, I just need to catch that next wheel. But I think you're right. You're starting to see some strong collections. And as they look around and they see those other strong riders, they really want to, take confidence in the fact that they've got people around them and that they're ready to go. So I'm looking at a middle group here right now, and we see a strong collection of Roadrunner, who's been a a strong finisher in this before. Tiffany Larson, Stephanie Wagner. Wags in the group doing a great job staying up with those folks, maybe getting some coaching from her superstar husband, or maybe she said, honey, get out of here. I don't want to hear anything from you. I'm just going to race my race.
Absolutely.
So,
I got that first name for Bridget Soltis. It's Bridget Soltis is that
Bridget
lead rider.
Soltis. Awesome. Very, very cool. That is great. Now, it looks like the lead group here is coming around. They're about to hit the hill. This tends to be a separator of groups. You know, the speed on a hill can make bigger gaps or bring back bigger gaps. So as you look at this lead group of Kruger and Graham, Nat West, Ali Sutcliffe, what is your expectation over the course of the next lap? What do you expect we're going to see from this group and these heavy hitters?
I think every time we hit this hill, there's typically a separation. Someone's going to push the pace, hoping to drop some people off of this group. This is a big group right now, and hopefully every time we come across, a rider's got to think in their mind, if I can just push a little tougher, we're going to drop someone off the back, make this group smaller, make them work harder so that there's not enough energy there at the end to make that final push.
You know, I think you're absolutely right. And the fresh legs are going to want to do that. The fresh legs are going to say, let me just test it. Let me see who my real foes are. Let me put in a little push here. Jen Kabilas may be one of those people putting in a push at 3.7, 3.9, 4.0. Tiffany Larson just holding her wheel saying, I'm not letting you go. This is not happening today. You got Beth York at the front of that group. Boy, Jen Kabilas came from a long way back. I think it was like 6 seconds. When we were on the red carpet, she was sitting, I think, cleanly in the second group, and I was concerned that she wasn't going to make that move. She was one of our strong finishers last week. She ended up being in 6th, finishing in the middle of that A pack. Was victim of a big push from Rachel Elliott early on, and Beth York as they came around. Excuse me, I'm looking at the inaugural race where she finished 6th. She was on the podium last week. She was the victim of Johanna Garcia and her big push at the end there. But I think you're right. Look at that. We have a couple of people who have dropped off the back of that group. And I see a lead group of Beth York, Jen Kabilas, Konabare, and it looks like Kruger and Larson made the cut this time. We've got Palma in that group we don't know a ton about, and you've got a few people chasing as we come up at the finish of our first full lap as we hit that 1K to go banner.
Yeah, you'll see anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds gap on this just this little tiny hill as you come up to the 1K banner, and then hopefully we'll see it kind of all clump back up together. But Kubayas, Beth York, Conabear really putting the push in here, settling down a bit around 3.5, 3.7, but definitely really pushing on the front here.
Well, as we check in with some of the heart rates here, we can tell that people are working really hard. That's one of the things that you don't see on the Pro Tour. You can't get the data of the riders to really figure out. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be giving that away as a Pro Tour rider to let everybody know how hard you're working and how much you're putting out. But that's one of the things that this game gets us. And I think it makes it fun to call a race like this, because you can tell when you're sitting on a Tiffany Larson that, okay, heart rate's starting to come down. She's settling in. She was up in the 170s and 180s, but we're seeing that heart rate drop as she looks for a wheel. She tries to stay sheltered. She wants to make sure that those folks around her are not going to get away. But it looks like we have a clear group in the front of 3 riders, Canterbury, York, and Jen Kabilas there again. And then a pretty significant chase group of Nat West, Ali Sutcliffe, Kruger, Pippa Graham, Tiffany Larson, and a couple of chasers just on the back of that, Black, Koch, and Wright also in that group trying to rejoin. It looks like they're in the process of kind of pulling that back together. Sure helps when you have a little downhill here on the red carpet. I made the mistake a couple days ago of saying, you know what, no one, the banner, the green jersey time going the other direction is actually really low. I think I could do that. And I had some folks who were watching me ride say, yeah, go back and get that. So I flipped around and I forgot it's an uphill going the other way.
It is.
And it was really hard. I mean, it's not much, 1.5, 2%, but it's enough to take the speed off. But they have the ability to really just kind of tear loose. And we're seeing a little bit of a move. Canberra right there at the beginning, pushing off, has now gapped, but Beth York makes the catch, closes her down, and is keeping the pressure on, holding around 4. Okay, Canberra then also pushing to make sure that she stays with. But we have a little gap now to Jen Kabilas. Now just 4 seconds back of that lead pair, also holding a nice high wattage. How do you get Jen Kabilas back on that front group after a section like this where she's been going really, really hard for 20 minutes now?
Absolutely. Yeah, so at this point, a rider's got to think, do I want to go back to that group of what am I looking at? 12, 13 riders, just a couple seconds behind me, 7 seconds back. Do I want to use that group to get me slingshot forward to these 2 riders that are really just going to hammer it out there at the front at 3.8, 3.9, those riders being Beth York and Canberra here. So she's got to make a decision at some point here.
Absolutely, and she does. She has got to look for that. And if it's me, I mean, it looks like she's doing the watts on her own. She's holding 180 beats per minute. She's holding over 200 watts, and with her low kilos, that's a 4.6. That is some work in the legs. That is definitely some work in the legs. And so Jen is trying to make that gap. She can see them. It's 6 seconds. They're on a nice straightaway. And if I'm Jen, I'm looking around for an elevator. I'm looking around for somebody who's on course, who's working hard. The draft works on every rider. So if I've got somebody doing a hard segment at a workout and they come by and I can jump on their wheel, I'm going to catch that elevator. That's one of the strategic elements of this. And you might think, well, that's not quite fair. But you know what? There are elements like that in every kind of bike racing, whether it's a team car that comes by, a neutral service vehicle, and you can catch just a little bit of a break to get yourself back in that group, then you do it. It looks like Jen may be retreating a little bit, knowing that she's got the big group of Ali Sutcliffe, Pippa Graham, Kruger, Koch, Tiffany Larson still in that group, just 5 seconds back of her. She can see them in the same way that they can see her, and that is a big, comfortable group. Early on in the race here, that might be a strategic thing that you want to do, and then look around and see who's got the legs to go. Maybe Larson feels fresh as we hit this second lap. Pippa Graham may have some legs to go. Beth York as well, and they may want to climb up together and try to close that gap. It gets pretty lonely on the front there with Beth and Canberra as they're pushing. And I've noticed that they have also started to back off just a little bit on their watts per kilo. They are not pushing that 4.5 anymore. They're backing it down a bit.
Yeah, the gap's definitely coming in. I think the gap maxed out around just over 15 seconds. Caballas came back, and it looks like we're just at about 10 seconds from the large chase group here that she is part of. There's only 2 groups. There's 2 people off the front, and there's this large looking at 10 or 11 riders here that now Jennifer has come back to. They have her in sights. I think she's going to take that ride.
You know what? And I think that is the strong strategic play. It doesn't really get you much, but some cheers from the crowds on the corners as you just kind of try to survive in no man's land there in between a lead group and a chase group. But that is a big, strong group as they come up to the short climb this second time. That's the nice thing about this circuit. There's not a lot of up and down, but you do have this one moment where you can use it strategically and see what you can get from it. Jen kind of not necessarily easing it up, but she's not hammering it, trying to close that gap anymore. She wants to see if some folks will come up to her. Nat West is pushing hard on her wheel, coming up to her. Is she going to try to go around? She's got the watts to do it. Nat West gives a little bit of a dig and says, "How you doing, Jen? Are your legs tired? Are you ready to go? Do you want to come with me?" And Jen answers and says, "Yeah, I'm fine." It's fun to watch the people give her the love. Lots of ride-ons in the group. Jen Kabilas sitting on the wheel now of Nat West. And you've got the rest of that chase group. That is an interesting little move by Nat West to push past here and see if there is somebody willing to go with her to try to bridge this gap. I think she looks back and says, that's a lot of folks in that group, and while they're great and all, we're bike racing. I want to get up there with that lead group. And it looks like Jen is going to go with her, going to sit on her wheel and said, I've been out here a while. I've been doing my work. if you want to put in a turn, maybe I can help in a little bit. But I'm just gonna sit back here and see how things go. See if they've got an accord, a group that they can work together to pull back that 6 seconds to our leaders, Beth York and Conabera.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a smart move by Jennifer here. And all those riders in that other group, they're really pushing hard. They've got to work together. They've got to talk. They've got to look around and say, hey, we got to keep this pace. We need all the riders we need coming into these final laps. We're coming on our, second lap here. They need to make sure that they've got a nice large group if they want any chance of catching these two riders off the front. We're gonna head to the front.
They've got to either do it themselves or they've got to get folks working together. And it'll be interesting to see if we've got an il patron, right? The patron, the leader in that group who is going to do the hard work of organizing that group. And if you're out on the road and you can hear one another, you'll know who that is pretty quick. Someone saying, look, we need to back it off here, or look, it's time to go. Let's have our folks push hard. Who's got legs? Who wants to go? They start to ask those questions. They start to survey the field and see what kind of willingness there is to kind of push harder and fill in those gaps. I mean, as we talk about the strategy, you've got to have that person in the group who's willing to communicate to everyone what the central goal of the group is and find out who the willing participants are. But in a world like this, it's a little bit harder. If they're in the chat, they can say something, come on, let's go get them, or maybe even type in chat to one another, which we can't see in the closed chat of private chat, friend to friend and team to team. Let's make our move right here. But strategically, you've got a couple of folks that are teammates, bona fide teammates working together. How do you see the teams playing out in the remainder of this race? We've got some ODZ, we've got some TFC in the group. We've got looks like one PTZ, and we've got a KISS racer in there as well. Do you see teams playing a part in this at all today?
I think we're about halfway through the race. If I was in this race, I'd look around and see all different kinds of jerseys. At this point, you're looking for someone to kind of create an alliance with, because you don't have enough numbers, whether it be in the break or with the group there. You got to look around and say, hey, we've got to work together on this, because there's no way, there's not enough of anybody's team at this point to make anything happen.
So as we're looking up here at the front, we see Kruger, Beth York, and Canberra. We have Kruger, looks like, who's made that climb, pulled that gap back, and now we have a new trio at the front. And you know what? It looks like they've eased up. Jason Canberra is now chasing back that lead group. You've got Jen Kabilas, who used that wonderful opportunity to get back up there. There's Nat West, Lynn Nat West, by the way,
correct,
who's dropped off significantly now. It looks like she got her friend up to the front. And if I'm seeing this correctly, it looks like we've got Jen Kabilas on the front of this race for the first time today. She trailed for a while, and now she has moved ahead of Beth York and is sitting comfortably on the front of this race.
That's right. We've got 4 riders here. Carrie Conaver is who we've got there. And I was just going to say that they were trading spots, and it was kind of getting into a lull. Their heart rates were starting to come down. They were trying to figure out how they were going to make it this next 2 laps. And I think having 2 riders here, this is number 4, Chris. You got to admit, this is a good number.
Oh, this is a really good number. This is, if they can get organized and they can not fight internally, they can run this to the line. And honest to goodness, if I'm one of those people, and you know me, I'm not a great sprinter, I am begging these folks to work together. I am promising to do my share. I am trying to convince them to go hard, because I know that this gives me a chance at a podium spot. I may not be the one in this group as I look around that's going to be the fast one. There are going to be some folks who could probably out sprint me, but my goodness, if I can nurse this group to the line and take any position, take any one of those podium spots, I'm feeling great. I think this is an alliance on the road. This is a fellowship of the big ring, if you will, to make this happen. It'll be interesting to see if they work together or if they attack each other. The hill is coming up. I feel for Nat West, who was in that group, but it looks like officially she has been dropped off of the back of that group and is now rejoined. No, I take that back. She is in the gap in between the 2 groups. She's got a couple people on her wheel. She's got Pippa Graham now on her wheel. Allie Sutcliffe about to pull her back. They can see each other. And in my viewer, the rain has started to come down. That's not going to make any difference in the overall performance of these virtual bikes. But for some, the rain is a motivator. Others, the rain is a demotivator. It'll be interesting to see if that plays out as well. So do we want to look back in this group a little bit further and see what other races are developing, since we're kind of in the middle of this event here?
Oh, I was going to mention, I was on board with Jennifer Kruger there. All their heart rates are peaking above 170 right now. So that group of 4 up there in the front is definitely pushing hard.
Very, very cool. Yeah, this is a strong group here in the front. They are still working hard. They are. Oh, we've got a little bit of a push by Conabear. A little bit of a push on the front, testing to see if in fact they're willing to go. Boy, this next hill will be an interesting one. It's fun to check back on some of the other racers and to see these races that they're kind of holding together. Honestly, after viewing this the first week and being able to talk about it live the second week, and today you become fans of some of these riders in the different groups. On February 4th, the last one of these, I just found myself cheering a ton for one of the riders that I've met in real life, and of course you know who that is, Lady Wags herself. Just being able to cheer for Stephanie Wagner, a strong B rider, making that push to get out here and to race and to put in these hard efforts. You see Stephanie Holmichael, who's doing a great job. Alice Alexander, Bridget Jacobson from Norway. We see a real international flair here in this women's race, which is really cool.
So right now we're on board with this. This essentially would be the second chase group here. We've got 2 riders in the gap. Make that 3 riders in the gap, and then a couple people here chasing on. They're trying to bring it all together. The rain is just making it tremendous for the helicopters to be able to see this view.
Yeah, this is a problem. It's really breaking down our helicopter visibility. We're trying to get more cameras out on course. We just don't have that. So who are the big hitters in that chase group?
I'm still on board with Tiffany Larson here. They are 7 seconds off the front. She's pushing the pace up the hill, and she's got the legs to do it if there's anyone there. Allie Sutcliffe is there, and a new rider, C Black. I'll find out if we can get a first name for that, is also there.
Yeah, I did some digging into C Black. She's listed in Zwift Power as C Black, and there's no associated Strava. So we may just have to just make up our own name for her. But she has been able to put down some really good power in previous races, weighing in at 64 kilograms. She holds right around just under 3.0 watts per kilo as her 20-minute, but has some really good higher 3.59 that she can hold for up to 5 minutes at a time, which can really help her in the finishing straights of a race like this. It looks like we've got a lot of work still happening in that lead group. They are not settling down. I just saw Jen Kabila spike up to 5 watts per kilo. She wants a little bit better finish than she had last week. She'd probably be satisfied with a third place, but I know that she knows that she's got more in her legs and in her heart than that. And she is looking around, looking for an opportunity. If I'm Beth, I'm looking for any one of these riders. Not Beth, excuse me, Jen, any one of these riders that may be interested in making a little move here, and I want to make sure I've got the legs to go with them. Maybe you can catch somebody unawares and just put in a little bit of a push and create a gap, and then all of a sudden you notice that they don't have as much in their legs as you might have thought they did, and they're not the ones who are going to be closing this 4-second gap that happened at some random point on the race. That's where it gets really strategic at this point. It's exciting to see, but this is our group of 4, and it'll be interesting to see who makes the move.
There's an interesting thing I was reading about yesterday, Chris, and we're gonna see. I'm gonna stay on board with the ladies here in the front four.
Okay.
From what I was reading online, there's a U-turn that Zwift is working on, and it's actually slowing us as riders to turn around. So as racers, you could actually use that as a spot to slingshot yourself and get out of the saddle and jump. It's the U-turn right after the straightaway here, so we'll have to take a look.
You know, that is a new strategic element that I was not aware of, but it doesn't surprise me as your bike makes that high gravity turn. There's going to be more friction on the bike. You know, they're really interested in working this really cool physics model that they're doing to make it as much like real cycling as possible. And they've, you know, we've seen them do those things with the aerodynamics of the bikes, with the drafting model, and trying to make it as realistic as possible. They're about to exit the Buckingham Palace section, coming past the big statue here, and heading toward that 180. It'll be interesting to see if anybody puts in any kind of a dig. We have this lead group of four. You're hanging with the second group, but we've got Jen Kruger in that group. Jen Kabilas, Beth York, and Carrie Conabear. Is it Carrie? Did I say it correctly?
That's correct.
All right. And Nat West only 5 seconds behind at this point. The rain's still coming down. It is making it really hard to see in the helicopter. But I think, Jason, that you're right. When we get up to this corner, we're going to see something different. Jen Kabila's actually putting in just a little bit of a dig.
Warning, attack imminent. Prepare for attack.
All right. We're getting signals from the computer right now, checking out what they're doing. Jen Kruger also putting in a little bit of a dig, wanting to get up there. They're coming up on this 360 right now. Now, anybody who's listening to this broadcast is going to know, and a little bit of a dig. And they're holding about 4 watts, 4.5, 4.6, a little bit of a dig. And it looks like they have actually... Jen Kruger getting back in that group, thought for a moment that we might have someone off the back. There is a heroic effort happening in the gap right now. Lynn Nat West is in the gap, 5 seconds back. And if she can hear us, she better know that we are cheering for her all over the place, hoping that she is going to make that catch and that she has a little bit in the legs ready when she gets up there so that she can put something down. But she's dealing with the aerodynamic effect of 4 riders, and she's in the gap by herself. It doesn't look like there's an elevator coming by to help her out, but she can see them. I'm looking over her shoulder right now. Oh, there's an elevator right now. Will she get on the wheel? She doesn't respond. But she had that opportunity. Looked like there was a rider coming by doing a workout, maybe going a little too fast to catch on, maybe not enough in the legs to do that. But as you're alone in that gap, you look for aerodynamic advantage wherever you can find it. And since there is no team car or bread truck to pull you back onto the group that you're chasing, you got to grab any wheel, any rider, whether they're in the race or not. Okay, so are you still over the shoulder of that second group? And
I am.
What are we seeing with Pippa Graham, Tiffany Larson, Ali Sutcliffe, and C. Black?
I'm seeing still a pretty good group of 6 riders. They've actually caught on to a couple other riders on course holding the pace that they are. So they are holding on pretty strong. I'm on board with Pippa Graham here, and definitely efforts are being made here. I've got Ali Sutcliffe, C. Black. Actually, our ride leader is in the mix here too. Not in the module, but she is. I did see her come up as a name.
Oh, excellent. We haven't been able to call her. Taya is the leader both spiritually and otherwise for this group. I did manage to cast my eyes back just briefly to see those chase groups that are coming, and we see about 3 minutes back. We've got that great chase group of folks like McMullen and others who look to be in a large group. And I believe I also saw Stephanie Wagner in that group as well. I think we're going to have a nice big chase group and race group just a couple minutes back of this lead group that we can call as well. Pretty exciting stuff. So I'm on the wheel of Nat West. She's hitting the hill, but there appear to be some fireworks up the road just a little bit. They're about to make that climb. and NatWest just 8 seconds behind them. If this lead group behaves a little bit on this hill, there's a good chance that she can put in a strong dig and make the catch. It looks like it's 10 seconds now. We'll see what they do, but it looks like Kabilas, York, Carrie Canabare, and Kruger all together there in that lead group again. As we call back to the very first week, we see Jennifer Kruger as being one of the top finishers. She held off Roadrunner for that last spot in the A's, but knows all about getting edged by Lynn West. She was able to do that, looks by about 45 seconds in that first one. Surprising to me is Xenia Pakala not making this move. Positioning not perfect in the beginning, maybe fitness down a little bit. It seems like illness is kind of moving through the peloton as well. But Xenia Pakala, a strong A rider, looks to be hanging back there with the McMullen group this time, 3 minutes back of the leaders. Shows you how important it is to be in position at the beginning of one of these races so that you do not miss the move when it comes. I'll bet you Xenia is really happy to be in a group like that, but frustrated all the same to not be in a position where she can contend with the folks that she knows that she can hold toe-to-toe with. In fact, she finished less than 30 seconds behind Jen Kabilas the first time they raced together. She was up there with Larson and Taya and Nat West as well. So as we are on the Strand, we've got our lead group coming up. We don't see a lot of fireworks at this point. They know that the end of the race is in sight. They're looking around to see who, if anyone, is going to make a move. Nat West has retired her chase. It was a valiant effort, but has found her way back into the group I think that you're following, Jason.
Yep, I've got them here. I've got Lynn as well as Tiffany Larson, and I think I've got one other rider. I have a feeling that is Taya. Just outside the module. So there's 3 riders here chasing on. They are 19 seconds from the front, and they've got the larger group, the second chase group behind them, about 4 or 5 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that sounds like it's going to become a super group here, probably up on the Strand or somewhere on the red carpet when the pace eases just a hair and people give their legs a break on that little downhill. Is that fair to say?
Oh, definitely. I'm just watching the four leaders come onto the red carpet here, and you could definitely see them switching every so often. Someone's taking a pull, so no one's letting off in that group either. They're 19 seconds in front of Lynn right now.
Yeah, and as you look around, I'm trying to see who it might be that might be the cagey veteran in this group who's got the best chance. I mean, historically, Beth York has finished pretty darn high in this group, and Jen as well, still in this group. It's worth pointing out that Jen Kabilas was in no man's land after lap 1. She had missed this big move, maybe didn't see it, maybe didn't have the legs, didn't respond, but she did the heroic effort of getting back in this group, as Carrie Canabare. We've got a big dig coming right now. Canabare, it looked like maybe it was just a little let's test how things are going, little sprint legs effort there, and now they're easing off. Carrie down to 1.1, saying, "Yeah, I got a little bit of a gap on you, but I'm not really going off on my own."
I think the module showing end.
I see a bunch of riders that I did not see before, so it's entirely possible. That is one of the problems of the following the race, is that we don't see the laps to go on the riders, and I think we may have just witnessed the official module end of this race. Let me double check. Let me tell you just a little bit about what I did see a moment ago, which was the amazing effort of that group of 4 riders. Now, there seemed to be just a little bit of a push. They may have been following. It looks like they've eased off quite a bit. It doesn't look like our racers, at least those are in the module, are doing it. As we cast back, though, I'll try to pick up somebody else that's in our chase group. Jen Kabilas, backing way off. Tiffany Larson backing way off. It looks like the official end of this. Is it possible we called 1 lap too few or 1 lap too many?
Yeah, it just ended.
It just ended. Well, you were obviously working too hard to let your commentators know that.
Sorry.
But excellent work. That was an exciting finish. We had a big sprint finish, cagey finish there. It looks like Carrie Conover may have edged out that big finish at the end there. I'll look to the Zwift Power results right now and see if we can get it to pull up. Obviously, it'll be incomplete until people start listing their Strava. No results yet in Zwift Power. Not a big surprise. Doesn't tend to follow in real time real well. But Jason, what did you see in that second group there?
Sorry,
Jason,
I'm still here. I'm just trying to chase. I'm chasing into the. I have a couple riders riding on course, and they're still in the module on the 4th lap. So something must have happened here, Chris.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you know what? Kudos to our racers who were aware of everything that's going on. Honest to goodness, the fact that we didn't know what lap we were on doesn't change the fact that this was an amazing race with some really cool maneuvers that happened in there. So as we talk about the kind of the things that happened, the way this race shaped up, we go back to the beginning of it, just recapping for anybody who joined us. Our ride leader, Taya Freisted, was booted from the module during the warm-up period. Thankfully, we had a couple of other KG veterans in that group, including Charisse McMullen, who was able to communicate to the group, and the entire group came back together on the strand and got a nice, clean start at the 1K to go banner. Immediately, we saw more power than we have ever seen at the beginning of this race. Jason, they were holding 4.5 the entire group, A's, B's, and C's. Everybody for a long time. I mean, for 10, 15 minutes. And in that process, we saw just incremental movements. You know, the one of the facts that's amazing to me is that from the lead group of 4 to our biggest chase group of A's, B's, and C's, there was only 3 minutes from front to back of this race. Maybe a couple of stragglers behind, but it was still really, really tight. And our legitimate chase group, I think, finished 15 to 20 seconds behind our 4 leaders.
Not very far at all.
Not very far. It's true. Early on in the first lap, we saw one of our expected podium finishers, Jennifer Kavilas, in the wrong group. 15 seconds behind. She made a solo move to try to catch that group and to get on the group, and she did that. It didn't happen in one fell swoop. She, in fact, had to make a couple of different efforts. She got close. She fell back. She pushed again. And she took the opportunity to get that speed differential and to catch that group. There were obviously a couple of riders up in that group who took the pressure off just a little bit, and not necessarily gave her permission to do that, but definitely made some decisions that allowed that to happen. They didn't keep their foot on the gas, which tells you how hard everybody was working there in the beginning. But then we saw another heroic move. Lynn Natwest trying to leave that chase group and bridge up to that lead group. She wanted someone from Team TFC in that group today, and she put in a valiant effort. She brought it back to 6 seconds at one point. But after, what was at least 15 to 20 minutes of just being in no man's land in between, she finally decided, let me see what I can get with a group sprint here. I'm going to get caught by this group behind me. I'm running out of legs. And she pulled back to the group with Sutcliffe and Tiffany Larson and that whole group. I would love to know if we have got our finishing board visible to any of our riders who happen to be in the chat today. I'll open that invitation. Can somebody tell us what our finishers look like?
Give me a second, Chris. I should have something coming through in about 2,000 feet here. I've got one rider that's not a rider, but I've got a guy going. I should be able to get the module up in just a moment if everything's working well.
Excellent.
I
So
should've
as we
taken a
kind of
picture.
wrap this up, we want to send you out of here. You have been faithful viewers of this for for the last 45, 50 minutes, and we're so glad that you're here with us on Zwift Community Live. Thanks to everybody, Johnny included, and Nathan, who made it possible for us to broadcast this. We hope it was entertaining. We like to think that it was entertaining. In my opinion, there are some great races, and Nathan does a fabulous job on his KISS races and all of the different things that Johnny and the entire broadcast crew contributes. But we love this amazing race, our Zwift women's race, and all of the things that it offers us, all of the compelling storylines, all of the amazing riders that we get to meet, from the Taya Freisteds to Lynn Natwest to Ali Sutcliffe to Roadrunner, whose name we don't even know, to Johanna Garcia from Colombia, who took the win last week, to folks like Tara Wright and Sarah Quinton from Canada, from our homegrowns like Tiffany Larson and Charisse McMullen, and everybody's favorite rider, Stephanie Wagner. Just to see all of the amazing efforts that they put out, the training they put out week to week, so that they can come back in and to do these events. It is so fun to be a part of their racing world, and Jason and I are just pleased as
Absolutely.
we could be to be able to just be in their presence.
Looks like we're getting a little bit of information from the module here. Let me read this off. I've got first place reporting with Kruger with a gap of 1 second. I've got a close second, third, and fourth, all within 0.3 seconds. I've got the order being Carrie Conaber, Beth York, and Jennifer Cabayas. So that's Kruger, Conaber, York, Cabayas for the first 4 slots, and I could work our way down. 13
That
seconds.
is amazing. So Kruger was the one who put in that big push at the end. She put in that big dig at the end and actually got a full second. And I didn't see it in the same way I'm imagining it now, maybe. But I was watching overhead as they were doing that. I was a little bit confused by what was happening. I thought, why are they going for the sprint? And I think what happened is that Kruger saw an opportunity, put in a dig, and got a gap. And all it takes is that split second where Jen looks around and says, "Oh, is anybody going to cover that?" And that little delay causes the gap, causes the break to happen, and there's nothing you can do. You yourself are not going to pull the rest of those folks back, so all of a sudden you're sprinting for second. I don't know at what point she went. I hope to find that out from the riders at some point, but my guess is any KG veteran will look around for an opportunity, and if there is no willingness to go, that's when you go. And so Kruger, maybe seeing the opportunity in the group, seeing that maybe no one was willing to put in, just testing her legs to see what she could get, maybe turned onto that red carpet and tore it open and said, "I'm going," and nobody responded in time, and she was able to hold it to the line. That's the scary thing about that downhill. And Jason, you know all about it, is that you can get that going fast and you can push and you get that little bit of a downhill. And top speed is what matters almost more than watts per kilo at that point. If you can max out your top speed, then even if they're at top speed, they can't close that gap because you're at the same top speed. So it's interesting to see how that turned out.
Yeah.
Super proud of our 4 riders for not only holding that gap, Jennifer for making that cut and getting into that group where others tried and could not. And was able to get maybe not a podium finish, but definitely up there in the standings and number 1 in our hearts for the hard work that she did.
Absolutely. I do have a roundup of the final top 10 here. I've got 5th place with Lynn Nat West, a close 6th place with Tiffany Larson, a 7th place by C Black, 8th place our unknown rider T Parma, 9th place P Coach Koch, and 10th Ali Sutcliffe, and then Pippa Graham in 11th, rounding up the top 11 riders we have today.
Top 11. You gotta call Pippa Graham's name when it's up there, because she is such a cool rider and always in the mix, always racing somewhere, somehow, doing really cool stuff. And it's just
will be in there somewhere. She just wasn't in the mod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And we, that is an unfortunate thing. However, we didn't call her name nearly as much as we normally like to and should have, but she managed to get back in, get a great effort in, and push really, really hard. It'll be interesting to see how things lay out once we get things into Strava. Obviously, the officials will go through. They'll look at any of the details of rider performance and make a final standing. But none of that matters. We got to witness some really cool racing, as we always do here in this ladies' race. And I hope all the racers had fun and were near vomiting. And and I know we did, and I hope that those folks who were watching did
Vomited?
as well. maybe just a little bit of vomit. There we go. But to all of our riders, we send out the ever famous Charisse McMullen encouragement.
One juice box for you.
There we go.
Yeah.
recorded long
Great
ago.
job.
Yeah. So
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, so just a couple reminders. I know Zwift Community Live has got a huge amount of events coming up, and one of them they wanted to highlight was a Zwift distance record attempt by Jasmine Mueller. They did an interview a couple days ago. They just wanted to remind everybody on Zwift Community Live that they'll be doing that coming up. So watch the schedule closely. I think, Chris, we'll just take the last moment here. Why don't you let the viewers know here on Zwift Community Live where they can normally see us on our channel, and that we'll be giving them, as well as the Zwift Community Live, some really great content with the weeks, months moving forward.
Absolutely. So this is what's crazy, right? We have this crazy little bike game that we play, and some of us even a little bit more nerdy are like, well, if I'm not riding, I definitely want to see what's going on. I want to watch some people and doing their bike racing. Well, in this excitement, Zwift, the headquarters, Zwift HQ, Nathan Guerra vision, and as it's become into Zwift Community Live, a wonderful location for lots of content, including content like this, and another place called Zwift Live by ODZ are different places where you can find content. Now, it can be as exciting and innovative as an esports race like our buddy Nathan Guerra will call, and a lot of those happening on Zwift Community Live. Or maybe it's something like a skills and drills, or a what's up with power, more of an interview style ride along show that happen over on Zwift Community Live. Zwift Live by ODZ. We have these different channels now, Jason, where people can tune into different personalities and to different formats where we can try things out. And we've been doing this on Zwift Live by ODZ, the Facebook page, and streaming Zwift Live there for a while. And we're moving content around to entertain the Zwift Community Live folks. We're invited graciously by Nathan and this group. We expect in 2 weeks that this will actually broadcast on the mothership, right? The Zwift Live channel, where we see these different folks moving around. You can normally find me on Zwift Live by ODZ, and Jason as well, with different things that we do there. You can follow our schedule there as well. But here's the really good news is we have this community of awesome people like Nathan and Johnny, and I'm forgetting tons of people, Casey Shum, and all these folks who produce fun content for us total bike nerds to watch. You've got folks like Justin Wagner and Ian and all of these folks, Mitch and all these folks over on Zwift Live that are doing some cool stuff, Zwift Live ODZ, and we're all producing different things. So you can find me there, give it a like there, and you'll know whenever we go live and do some stuff. Also, suggest some content. I'm hoping, and I haven't run this by Nathan and Johnny and the crew yet, but we've got a ride with coming up with of all people, the incredible Cuban Missile himself. Do you know who the Cuban Missile is?
I think it goes by Ivan, no?
Yeah, that's right. Ivan or Ivan Dominguez, the Cuban Missile, former Continental Pro, former World Tour Pro, unbelievable world criterium champion. He's going to do a ride along with us next week. We've also got some other folks like Adam Toledo, professional triathlete. We're going to do ride alongs where everybody can get in the module and we can ride along together. We'll continue to broadcast race like this and tell you the story within the story, the race within the race. We'll continue to give you other stuff. But I guess the moral of the story is we've got amazing people putting in tons of time to do great stuff on multiple channels. And so if you're tuned into all of them, you're not going to miss out on any of it, whether it's Zwift Community Live, Nathan's baby does a great job here curating this content, or Zwift Live, ODZ, where you see some other personalities, a lot of different personalities, or if you're tuned in on a regular basis to the Zwift Facebook page where you can see some of those Facebook Lives. And my goodness, I won't even get started if you start checking out Beam or Twitch, where a lot of these other streams seem to be going 24 hours a day. So I guess in conclusion, Jason, a lot of good stuff going on by a lot of really cool people. And it's just fun to be part of such a great community. And big thanks to Zwift Community Live for hosting us today and letting us tell the story of these great racers and riders on this channel.
Absolutely. Yeah, if there wasn't anything else, I guess we're about ready to go, Chris.
No, we'll head out of here on this and having a good time.
Thanks for everybody joining us.
All right, we'll end the broadcast. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the bike.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.